Hey guys, we're back with another recap and review of The Kings of Napa, Season 1, Episode 3. What sport got to do with it? So boom, check it. We begin with August in front of the compound, in front of the house, and we see this vibrantly dressed, seemingly eccentric woman pedaling up on a bike. And we come to find out that this is Grace, and she apparently, I guess, was in Bridget's position at the winery before Bridget was, So I don't know what terms she left on, but she's there because August wants to bring her back onto the team, of course. And it seems like she had a lot of success when she was there. I don't know what term she left on, but that kind of makes sense why August would want to bring her back if she brought them a lot of money and success. So after going back and forth for a little bit, she opts to rejoin the team. And of course, August lets Dana know this, and of course he shares his 2 cents, and he's not really with it. He doesn't really want her to join the team, and yada yada yada. Dana being Dana, as usual. After that, we see like this little quick brief conversation between Christian and Vanessa, and he's getting a pep talk again from her, kind of. He hasn't given up hope on reining in his team, but I hope that he takes another approach, because we saw last week and that just didn't end well for him. So that's pretty much it with them two. Like I said, it was just a quick little conversation. Circle back to Dana in August. She apparently, Dana, one of his old frat buddies, he done contracted him to do some PI work to find out who Deep Voice is and whatnot, and he's going to pose as security because they don't want to obviously alert Vanessa and the rest of the family members about the extortionist, and he's going to be trying to track down what this person's identity really is, and we'll see. And was it just me, or did they kind of foreshadow like a little bit of violence right there when he says something along the lines of, usually when it comes down to extortion, it oftentimes leads to bloodshed, or he says something along those lines, and I was just kind of like, So we'll see what that means later on. Next scene, we see August. She's having a little yoga session with Maddie, who we haven't seen since episode 1, when those three were sitting down at that other winery or whatever, having a drink or whatever. We haven't seen her since then, but she is doing some yoga with August. They talk for like a little bit, whatever, and then Calvin comes in, and of course she's like, "Oh, girl, yes, he's you know how us good girls get when we see our friends' mans in them." So that pretty much happens, and she excuses herself for them to talk. And this is kind of where we see him kind of scolding her a little bit, or kind of like voicing his frustrations that she switched up on the terms of the agreement, as we saw in the ending of last episode. And we knew that this was coming down because she signed that contract. So there was no backpedaling on that. And she did it by firing Bridget and whatever. So she, to get him back in her good graces, offers to go on a date, blah, blah, blah. They plan to go out. And I don't know. I think it's going to become an issue with them mixing business and pleasure, but what do I know? Meanwhile, Vanessa is attempting to break in. We see her just throughout this whole episode. She's attempting to break into Reggie's computer. She can't get the password. And yeah, that was pretty much it for that scene with her and that. Next, we see Bridget and Rose. I don't know if Bridget was like in a place doing some shopping, and Rose just so happened to come by, and we see them talking for a second, kind of updating each other on the situation and just talking about, you know, the drama and all that. And it obviously, because I have preconceived notions about Rose's intentions, I feel as though she was kind of stirring the pot, because she started to say things like against August and just, you know, just throwing out little messy little things that kind of can help continue to pit Bridget and August against each other and whatnot. So I was like, I see you and I see everything that you stand for at this moment. So yeah, I'm like, do you really support Bridget? Do you really want what's best for her? Or is this just like, what is up with you? Really? I would really like to know at this point. Don't trust her, Bridget. Don't trust her. That's all I could think in that moment. Yvette. We see her walking around with the new PI. His name is Quincy. She's walking around saying whatever, showing him around and stuff like that. They didn't really say much. It was just Yvette being Yvette, until August comes, whisks him away, and asks for an update on, has he found anybody who he could possibly believe to be the extortionist. Why does fool say, like, Otis, some other person that sued Reggie for malpractice, and somebody else, I don't remember. And I'm just like, this fool, they done hired a quack, y'all. But August tells him he better have his ish together real soon, or else, because those leads was mediocre as hell. At the same time, we also see Dana trying to fire Grace, you know, the new lady that August just hired at the beginning of the episode. He's trying to fire her because he's being Dana, and saying that his boy Preston could do a better job at a cheaper price, because apparently Grace has been asking for too much money that they don't have right now, which makes sense, but still, like, you don't have to go firing her just because it's just a power move with him. I'm not stupid. It's just a power move. But what we don't see is, or what we do see next is the Fighting Temptations as usual. And everything ends in him proposing a competition between Grace and his new guy, Preston. They're gonna both prepare their dessert wines, and whoever is better, the family will vote on it, and that's the one that they'll go with. And I'm just like, ugh. At the same time, Vanessa shows up to Bridget's house, or on behalf of trying to get at Melanie, of course. She banging on a door, come on to the door, bitch. I'm at a door, bitch. Whatever. And like I said, she's not there, but tell me why this lady done jumped through the window trying to break into Melanie's computer now. And I'm just like, oh boy. But low-key, I kind of wanted her to get through. I'm not even gonna lie. She breaks into her computer, sees this old family photo of like Bridget, Melanie, and Reggie, and I was just like, bro, y'all couldn't have photoshopped a better picture than that? Like, come on, y'all. Come on. At the same time, tell me why Melanie and Yvette walked through the door kikiing, laughing. They got shopping bags in tow. They was real good girlfriends at that moment, and I was like, oh boy. And of course, you know, dramatic irony again, they start spilling all the tea. And in so many words, it's clearly revealed that Yvette shows her slip. She says, you know, something along the lines of having known about the affair for however long since its origins, because it may have actually kicked off at her house back in the day, actually. And I was just like, man. Whole time, Vanessa is in the closet listening to everything. And I'm just like, I know that was like knife in the heart, because I don't think she really had any inklings that Yvette was two-faced like that. But I'm sorry, and I hate to say it. I don't hate to say it, because it just is what it is. Don't ever think it, even if you're married, whatever, for a million years, I just don't believe in ever thinking that the other person's family is going to have your back more than they're going to have their family members back. Like, I don't care. I just would never expect that. And this just proved it. Meanwhile, August and Dana are literally ripping through everybody, trying to get them on their sides, making sure that they are going to vote for the person that they want them to vote for, and back and forth and so. They're just running around. And we also find out that in the event of a tie, Bridget has to be the determining factor, or is going to be the deciding vote. And I was just like, watch it go start kissing her ass now. And that's exactly what they do next. They go over there, Dana and August, kissing up to her. And I'm just like, I wouldn't even let them in. Like, I would have been like, y'all can kick rocks. Like, so you fire me, but you think you're just going to drop in and out of my life? Sorry, y'all, if y'all hear that. It's my husband's phone. I'm like, so y'all are going to literally drop in and out of her life when you see fit? Like, really? Really? Sickening. What I also like realized about the show, and I seen a lot of people commenting on it like last week saying like they were kind of on the fence about it, because honestly, it's a good show, but at the same time, I can see how people would get like a little frustrated or feel some type of way, because the humor aspect of it, the humor piece, really kind of makes things a little bit unrealistic if you really look at it, because no one, because they're trying to be funny, no one really would act like that, you know? Like, no one will really react the ways they do just to, serve for, theatrical purposes and just to be humorous. It just takes away from the realistic sense of it. It's just how I feel. I will say, though, Vanessa turned up the heat on this one, and I was really like, you go, sis. So we see Yvette and Vanessa sitting down for a family dinner, and they're just going back and forth and ha ha he he whatever, saying whatever. Tell me why Vanessa, she starts to say like some loaded, like, it clearly was alluding at that she knew something, statements and questions and stuff like that, and so much so that Yvette knew something was up, so she tries to scurry on out of there like the little mouse that she is. And Vanessa's like, oh no, sis, you hear that? That's them packing your stuff. I'm like, oh, she must be related to Simon. She got the movers on speed dial. She's kicking her out because of everything she heard in the closet, of course. And Vanessa, when I tell you, she just started just spewing everything and just trying to save face. All the while, she goes on to say how when Vanessa found out she was pregnant with Dana, she was having a real tough time trying to figure out if she was going to abort him or not, or she wanted to abort him. And of course, just like the drama that it is, Dana walks in and hears everything. And he is just rightfully hurt, obviously. So he storms out. And that's kind of where that ended, with Yvette getting all her belongings taken out right in front of her. She's sick. Sick. Meanwhile, we do see Rose and Bridget. She did take her up on hanging out. We see them sitting down at her house. She's showing her some of her art and stuff like that. And she starts to open up and be, a bit more transparent about her past and how she got to this point. And we find out that, she had a very promising career, and her goals and aspirations definitely lied outside of the winery business. And she's basically just doing all this and not even knowing her true identity, or not even having a voice. She's just Dana's a spoon coon. That's literally her role in life at this point. And you see that Bridget's words kind of struck a chord with her, which I was like, okay, maybe this won't be so bad. And I think she even said something along the lines of something about her being the first bisexual, or her being bisexual, something about her sexuality. And I'm almost thinking, this is just my thoughts. I predict a little bit that she's gonna wind up leaving Dana, and maybe her and Bridget will get together. I'm just saying. Remember I said this. At the same time, Kelvin and August are having their date finally. And everything pretty much goes well with them. Nothing really happened too much. So they agree to go out again after they have some laughs, and everything's cool until she stands up as he's going to pay, and she gets another call from Deep Voice, and he clearly can see her because he's describing stuff and talking about, well, I don't know why you're out with him when you should be getting my money because the next payment is due in 2 weeks. And I'm just like, oh boy, oh boy. We also get August, who is she kind of took heed to Quincy's, not warnings, but to his words, as far as just trying to do her own little digging, clearly, because she's probably looking at this guy like he's a quack. And she's trying to probe Mr. Otis and trying to find out if he is, if he knew anything bizarre that their dad was doing. She starts, indirectly questioning about stuff to see what he knows. We don't get anything from that, but I think Mr. Otis he seems like a solid dude, good worker. I hope it's not him. I don't think it is. I think that's just to redirect our attention off of who we think it could be. We also find out that Yvette is living with Bridget. I guess she's just running the local Red Roof Inn over there, because that just seems to be the drop zone. And nothing really also comes from that scene too much either, except for that Yvette let it be known that she's still going to be present at the vote, and that she's telling Bridget she needs to be there because she's the deciding factor. And so we'll see how that turns out. We also get Bridget at an interview, and I'm like, yes, don't let nobody hold you back. You know where your expertise is, and if they don't appreciate you over there, family or not, somebody else will. She's very much like me. If I will never say nowhere I'm not wanted, or try to get back in somebody else's good graces who's showed me that they don't really care about me as a person. Rocks, kick them. I think she got the job. We'll see. Okay, so we're finally at the actual dinner. Yvette, it starts off, Yvette is kissing up to Vanessa, of course. And that goes on until August begins her pitch. She says her thing. Dana says his thing next. And everybody is doing their tastings. And, we're like, okay, well, who's going to be? First vote, Christian votes for August. Yvette votes for August. Even though she just aired out all of everything yesterday, you would think that she would try to kiss up and vote for Dana, but she didn't. It's like, whatever. Vanessa votes for Dana. And of course, this is assumed that August voted for herself and Dana voted for himself. The deciding factor, y'all. Bridget, and I saw this one coming, I'm not even gonna lie, from a mile away. Bridget votes for Dana. So he's all feeling himself, of course, only for the lawyer guy to be like, Rose still hasn't voted. And he's like, because they didn't ask her, because it's assumed that she's going to vote for her husband, right? Wrong. Rose goes on to say, I'm sorry, sweetheart, but I'm gonna have to vote for your sister. I was like, like, sorry. So he starts going off, saying all types of nasty things, basically calling her nothing, saying that she was nothing before he, you know, scooped her up, damsel in distress type thing. And I'm just like, and this is why I said before, I think that she gonna leave him. She gonna leave him. So of course August is happy about that. In the final scene, we see Quincy going out with his yo-yo. What is up with the yo-yo? Goes out to let Dana know what's up and you know, update him on whatnot. And before he walks away though, Dana goes on to tell him that he wants him to provide him with all of the dirt on his sister August, because he's going to take her down. Like, really? Really? Sad case. But that's where the episode ended, y'all. I'm still liking it, but like I said before, I can see how, you know, people have kind of developed their own thoughts and you know, aren't feeling it so much so because of the humor and, you know, all of that. But I'm still enjoying it. I hope you guys are. I hope you guys will continue to watch my reviews, because I will be here every week with one. But until then, you guys, comment, like, subscribe. See you in the next one.